I was standing by the riverside in the northern wilderness. No stars or moon to light my way, just a single black darkness. I could not see my hands. I could not see my feet as I blindly searched for some dry leaves and maybe a few good twigs. And then I fumbled in my pocket and carefully struck the match. And it burned as bright as any sun as the dark was driven back. I want to be a spark. I want to be a flicker. I want to be a glimmer of what's burning in God's heart. I want to be the sparkle in my Father's eye when someone finds their way. Well, the ranger had us all sit down in the bottom of Mammoth Cave, and he explained how lost we'd be if the light was taken away, and I knew he was going to do it. Turn out the light like that? But I was not prepared at all when the darkness turned to black. And then I heard the scratch on paper. And I saw that first spark fly, and I saw the hope and comfort burn in every person's eye. I want to be a spark. I want to be a flicker. I want to be the glimmer of what's burning in God's heart. I want to be the sparkle in my Father's eye when someone finds their way. I want to be a flicker. I want to be a glimmer. I want to be a spark.
Hello, namaskar, adab, sasyakal, kasa kai, kedo halai, kem cho. Once again, I'm here, your loving host Abha-Episode-43 for your most loving talk show on YouTube, Spotlight with Abha, in collaboration with Radio Brain Rhyme. Once upon a time. Friends, the moment you hear once upon a time, you became alert and get ready to listen to a story. You might have heard lots of stories in your childhood and must be telling stories to your children at present. Some might have done it beautifully and effectively, while some must be really feeling the storytelling is a challenge. If it is so, then this episode of Spotlight with Abha is just for you. Because today I have brought the world's best storyteller, who is also world's highest paid storyteller, who is into storytelling since he was 14 years of age. A passionate, miraculous, incredible, and enthusiastic leader in his vocation as a performing storyteller and writer. His enthusiasm is contagious and his integrity is beyond question. I really feel extremely proud, excited, and super happy to present Don Buck P. Creacy from Kentucky, USA. Welcome back to the Spotlight.
Well, thank you for that wonderful introduction. You're too kind.
Thank you so much, Buck,
How are
for
you
giving
today?
your time. Yes, I'm great. Friends, I really feel honored to give a brief introduction of Don Buck P. Creacy. For over 4 decades, Mr. Creacy has used storytelling principle in his roles as newspaper columnist, humorist, singer-songwriter, entertainer, teacher, and more. Early in his 20-plus year professional career at Toyota Motor Manufacturing, Kentucky, he was recognized for his uncanny ability to captivate an audience through storytelling. He wore the label as Toyota's Corporate Storyteller long before he officially took up the role and became involved in innovative projects where storytelling could add a needed dimension. His professional success led to simultaneously storytelling work with companies such as Brown-Foremen, Owens Corning, Alcoa Aluminum, GTE Sylvania and Texas Instruments, as well as speaking engagements with Christian Storytelling Network and other normal venues and festivals. He has performed for audiences across America and in both Israel and Palestine. In England, he performed for a packed house at Flying Donkey Storytelling Society. Creacy previously owned the World of Storytelling Radio. His station was heard in 116 countries and rose to within the top 25 popular internal talk radio stations. He sums up his love for the art of storytelling in this comment. Storytelling enables me to do what I like to do most, form genuine, lasting relationships with people, and to provide innovative perspectives in creative, positive change. Buck, this is really incredible. This shows that you have enjoyed a unique position in the world of storytelling.
Well, I'm excited to talk with you today, and I'm happy to talk about anything you want. If you'd like to ask some questions, or do you want me to just tell you a story, or what do you have in mind?
Yes, of course. I'm here to ask you a few questions about how did all this storytelling started at the age of 14. Means you were so young when most of the teens are interested in enjoying their teenage time. What inspired you to move towards storytelling?
My dad got me a job shining shoes at a barber shop in Farmington, New Mexico. And I realized that if I was going to get people to get into my chair, I had to tell them funny stories. And they have lots of funny stories at the barber shop. And so that's what I did. I told funny stories and people got in the chair and I shined their shoes and they paid me money. And then later, a teacher recognized me telling stories out on the park, out in the schoolyard. And of course, I had to write those stories down. One thing led to another. So, Mrs. Harston was her name. Wonderful lady. She loved me. And when I got to Mr. Gray's class, I had to write more stories. And then when I went to middle school, junior high, they called it back then, I had to write more stories. And then when I got to high school, Mrs. Kerr's class was a journalism class, a newspaper class. And as I walked into her class, there was Mrs. Kerr, Mrs. Harston was standing there talking to Mrs. Kerr. And when I walked in the door, she said, "This is the young man I was speaking about," and she left. And so there I was. And I had to tell some more stories and write more stories. And they would not give me any rest. I had to write stories. So, and I love it. I love it. I've been doing it forever and ever. And then I started doing parties, retirement parties, celebrations. I would stand up and tell stories and make people laugh. I love to make people laugh.
Great, great. That's really great. So,
okay, there you go.
Yeah. So, Buck, is there any difference between normal storytelling and corporate storytelling?
Oh, yes. Corporate storytelling is for the business. To help the business perform their mission, you have to help them tell their story. So corporate storytelling is all about the company product, all about the corporate environment, the work environment, and you want to generate a positive place for people to work. And you want them to leave their job and talk in a positive way about the company. And so corporate storytellers' responsibility is to provide insight on what makes people love their work. And that was my big job for a number of years.
Okay. So in
I worked for
corporate
Toyota 23 years.
Oh, that's really big time. So Buck, you have your own story development process. Can you elaborate
I do.
about this?
Sure. Everybody in the story wants something. If there's 5 people in the story, all 5 of them want something, and all 5 of them want something different. 5 people, 5 different desires. I call it desire because they want something. And all of them are going to have some obstacles in their way. So, for example, there's a story in America called Little Red Riding Hood. A young girl is told by her mother to take a basket of goods to her grandmother. And on her way through the woods, she comes upon a big bad wolf. Oh, he's very sneaky. He doesn't catch her right then, but he runs ahead and sneaks into the grandmother's house. Oh yes, it's terrible. And so he wants a meal, and so he winds up eating grandma. And the young girl does not know. She does not know. She just needs to get through the woods and get there. And then when she meets the wolf, she says, "Oh, what big eyes you have, Grandma. Better to see you with. What big teeth you have. Better to taste the goodies you brought me." Oh, and then she realizes that it is, in fact, the wolf. Oh, he's running around, and she screams for help, and a woodsman comes out of the woods to just see what's going on. He comes in and rescues her. And when he does, out comes Grandma, a little bit sticky, but Grandma comes out. She's safe. The little girl's safe, and the woodsman goes back into the woods, and everybody's happy. So everybody wants something. Everybody has something to overcome. And because they have something to overcome, you have to dive into that thing that makes them double down on their interest in getting the job done. So that's the secret.
Great. So
once you have a reinvestment, yes.
So you owned large organization of storytellers. How did you do it? Any challenges that you faced?
2,500 storytellers.
Yes. So any challenges you faced while creating an organization of such a huge storytellers?
I have a friend named Diane De La Casas, and she passed away. And I took over professionalstoryteller.ing.com. It's an internet group. And the rule is you must be a professional storyteller to belong to this group. So we had storytellers from Africa and Asia and Palestine and England, Europe, Switzerland, Finland, you name it, all over the world. 100, like I said, 2,500 storytellers. It was wonderful. And we agreed to share and our information. We share what we're doing. And if we find stories that are really good, we would put them on so that everybody could use them all over the world. And it was a wonderful time of sharing stories throughout the world. And only recently, because I'm an old man now and I've retired almost from storytelling, just not quite retired, but I've retired from working hard every day, and I don't get paid all the money I used to have. So I had to turn loose of the professional storyteller. Okay, not enough money.
Okay, so you also operated a world storytelling radio. So how come you moved from corporate storyteller to radio?
I did. Actually, I did the radio at the same time I was corporate storyteller.
Okay.
So I wanted to provide a platform where storytellers could be heard all over the world, any time of day. And so I created a World of Storytelling radio, and we had stories 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. All the time. Broadcast out on the internet for people to hear, and we had listeners from everywhere, and we broadcast in 116 countries around the world. I loved the radio station. It was a lot of work. You might imagine, you know how much work your spotlight is. Can you imagine how much work it would be to have a radio station 24 hours a day, 7 days a week? The playlist was brutal. I had to listen to all the stories, and then I had to choose what was appropriate. Oh. So that was hard, because everybody thinks their stories are the best stories. and not necessarily. Recording listening to all the recordings was very difficult. Hundreds of hours.
That is really, really amazing, Buck, because when you are listening to so many stories, many times it may be possible that they might have, got jumbled up in the mind that who said what. You have to remember everyone's.
Well, one of the things about so many stories is you have to write a lot of notes. A short pencil is better than the best memory.
Yes. That's true. You have been part of International Storytelling Festival, Kathastu in India, though it was a Zoom platform, but it was organized
yes,
by
Sharon Matthews.
Yes, your own student, Sharon Matthews. So how was your experience?
Yes. So I have been teaching Sharon for almost 10 years now. I love her. She is wonderful. She's very passionate about storytelling and makes me very proud almost every day, because she's teaching young people to love stories. Everybody, old or young, everybody loves stories. If you go to a restaurant, what do you hear? Stories. If you gather with family, what do you hear? Stories. And Sharon is learning to be a corporate storyteller. And I'm very proud of her. Yes, I am. And that festival was wonderful. From Ireland, from Africa, all over. It was wonderful.
Yes.
The children telling were wonderful. Now in Kentucky, I started a thing called the Kentucky Youth Storytelling Competition. We had a statewide competition in Kentucky, and each of us, young people would come and tell stories, and we had what we called a state champion, and the National Storytelling Network here in the United States has what they call the Torchbearers Competition. And so several of the young people from Kentucky won the National Torchbearers. We were very proud of them.
So, but now when you are here, I don't want to lose the opportunity to listen to a short story from you. Are you ready for that?
Sure. Well, now what kind of a story do you want to hear? A funny story? A sad story? A true story? We're about to celebrate Christmas, and this is the month for Christmas here in the United States.
Yes.
Actually, it's Christmas everywhere in the world.
Yes.
But so I was remembering this morning about my son's Christmas while I was at college. While I was at college, it was very hard, very expensive, and I had almost no money. I worked at a job, and I went to school. That's all I did. Work, school. And his mother asked him, my son, now he is 5 years old, says, "What do you want for Christmas?" And he answered exactly what I did not want to hear. He says, "I want a motocross bicycle." Well, they were over $100. I didn't have $100. So I went down to the secondhand store and I bought an old bicycle for $5. I took it all apart, cleaned everything, and spray painted it black. And then I got a new seat for it and a yellow sign that said number 17, where it's motocross handlebars and sign. Oh, I tell you what, now Christmas morning, he was very excited. I woke up to the smell of Christmas stew. We didn't have very much money, so it was Christmas stew. And, well, his face was all sad. "What's wrong?" "I wanted a bicycle." "Oh, there's no bicycle under the tree?" No. Well, I went and outside and off to the front porch, I brought in the bicycle. Oh, that was the greatest bicycle ever. Oh, but no training wheels. Well, we had to go outside. He must have run me 100 miles up and down the street, until finally he says, Daddy, you know, I believe I could learn to ride a bicycle if I had some training wheels. I says, oh, any boy as smart as you can learn to ride a bicycle without training wheels. But back and forth, until finally he did learn to ride that bicycle and make great, big, sweeping turns. And you know what? The neighborhood was never the same again. That was my boy, his Christmas bicycle.
That was really fantastic.
And that's the story.
Yes. And of course, that's really, as a father, you actually played a very big role in that by creating a gift for yourself. You made that gift by your own. So that was the biggest satisfaction of giving a gift. That is what I feel.
So 40 years later, I'm in Florida and I see a black bicycle that looked like his bicycle. So I took out my phone and I took a picture. I sent it to my son. He said, "You found my bicycle." He was very happy. You found my bicycle. Yeah.
So, Buck, that was really wonderful.
A father loves his children.
Yes.
Even if he's a strict father, he loves his children and he wants his children to do well. And
absolutely
that's very important to fathers.
Yes.
Fathers who love their children want their children to do well. And always remember that. That's why I'm so proud of Sharon. You know, she's helping children do better, to do well. To speak in public is a very strong skill.
Absolutely.
And she's done wonderful. Yeah, absolutely.
So, Buck, one request. I
This
just
is a
want
funny
to
day.
hear one funny story.
Here outside we have snow.
I want to listen to a funny story now.
Okay, all right, a funny story. You know, I have a terrible time with Christmas, and I have a terrible time with Valentine's Day or any kind of birthday. I just don't know how to shop for a woman. I just don't know. One time I said, "What do you want for Christmas?" She says, "Well, just get me something I don't have." Well, I looked around and she did not have the appliance called a blender. So I bought her one. I brought it home and had it wrapped up in tissue paper. And it was that pretty tissue paper, pink, quilted from Charmin's toilet paper. Oh, the paper went flying and she saw that and she set it on the counter and she never even plugged it in. She didn't really want that appliance. So the next year I thought, well, I didn't get enough buttons, so I got more buttons. Well, she put that on the counter. Oh, no. So the next year I said, well, what do you want for Valentine's Day? She says, well, counter space is going fast. Why don't you get me something I can actually use? So I went shopping and I bought her I bought her a big hammer. She could not use it. She couldn't barely pick it up. She used it for a doorstop to hold the door open so she could call for me from the yard. That was what she used it for. I said, well, what do you want for Christmas? She says, why don't you get me some lingerie? I says, well, what's lingerie? She says, talk to your friends. Well, I asked my buddy, the sheriff, I said, what's lingerie? He said, I believe you can find it down Vicky's Secret. I didn't know. I went down there, I looked, and I didn't know what to do. So I bought a little package. They had these packages. I bought a little package. I brought it home. She says, oh, I can't wear that. So she fooled me. And that just shows to show you, I cannot buy things for Christmas. I can't. I don't know how. Everything I do, I mess up. I don't know.
So still at this age, you don't know how to shop?
When we came to Kentucky, I don't know how to shop. If I want something, I go down to the store and I walk in and I buy it, and I come out and I pay for it and I go home. I don't go to the store and look and look and look and look. I can't do that. You know, she likes to go to the store and she has to try on every pair of shoes. Or she has to look at every purse or try on every blouse or dress. But me, I need a new striped shirt. I go buy a striped shirt. I get it. My size, yes, I leave. That's all there is to it. Doesn't even matter the color, just a shirt. So I can't shop. I don't know how to shop, but she can shop. She really can shop. And I love her. She's a funny girl. But for Christmas, I never win. Never win. I say, what do you want for Christmas? She says, oh, don't get me nothing. So that's what I thought she wanted. I didn't get anything. You might imagine it was very quiet for a couple of weeks after Christmas in my house because I didn't buy anything. Bad, bad. I found out that's bad. You have to buy something, but I didn't know what to buy. And I bought her a coat. I bought her some shoes. They were too big. I said, oh, now I did do this. I bought a dress, but I bought it small. Because I knew, I said, oh, I thought certainly that was your size. She had to take it back, but it was too small. That's all I got. So, you know, she asked me for a sideboard table. I had to think a minute. She asked me for a sideboard table, and I said, well, sure, why not? So we pushed the car and we got it started, and we went down to the furniture store. And I said, we walked in the door, and oh, she loved everything. Oh, she oohed and awed, and then finally she got to looking at the sideboard tables. And she found one that she liked. It's kind of a black walnut one, and so I kind of got a glimpse of the price tag, and oh no. So I was trying to hide the fear in my voice when I said, you know, I can probably make you one of these. She says, oh, okay. So I said, you go distract that salesman lady, and I'll get the piece of paper from this girl behind the counter, and I will draw up some guesstimate. I'll make some little plans and make a guesstimate. I'll go home and make you one of these. She said, okay. Now you might think that's funny, but you know, I've been a tool maker for 40 plus years. And so she knows I can make anything. Whether it's a sideboard table or a 747, all you got to do is just give me the materials and I'll build it. Well, so we pushed the pickup, got it started, went home. I headed straight for the wood shop. I spend a lot of time in the wood shop. And I got down some black walnut. I had some black walnut there. I thought that'd be pretty, you know. Now that black walnut I had been saving for my granddad had this black walnut tree in his front yard, big tree. Us boys couldn't even hold hands going all the way around the tree. But when the storm took that tree, I got over there and got that tree cut up into lumber. This pipe you see in my pocket sometimes is made from the roots of that old black walnut tree. Now, I don't smoke, But if I ever decide to, I got a pipe for it, see? Well, anyways, so I get this wood down, I make my drawings, and she comes out there and she says, how big are you going to make that table? And I said, well, the one down at the store was about 4 foot long. I thought I'd make it about 4 foot long. She says, well, might be too big for our entryway. The doily that I want to put on there is about 3 foot. Why don't you make it about 3.5 feet long? I said, okay, all right, I'll do it, darling. You betcha. And so I erased a foot off of that drawing, and I made a new drawing, replanned my materials. I started cutting up wood. She comes in and she says, what are you going to make that table out of? So, well, I got this black walnut right here. It's awful pretty. I thought I'd make the one down at the store is made out of black walnut. I'll make it out of this. And she said, well, you know, the hall tree that you made for my coats and my hats, a hall tree, it's made out of maple. Might look odd to have black walnut table and a hall tree made out of maple. I said, oh, okay, all right. So I put that, I can save this wood for something else. And I set it up and I said, I got this bird's eye birch here. This is beautiful. I'll use this bird's eye birch. And she said, okay. So I took the bird's eye birch down and I started making that up. And oh man, it's so pretty. I got about ready to finish it up. And I went up to the house and she says, now, how are you going to put that thing together? And I says, well, I'm going to use mortise and a tenon. She said, well, you know, I've been thinking I'd like to have decorative brass nails. Now, if you make furniture, you don't want any nails. Nails are hard on wood. They're ugly and they don't do well. They don't stay. But oh, she wanted to. I said, now you know there's no hard nails in my facility. There's not. So I was going to have to go to town and buy some hard nails. And so I said, no, I'm not going to use nails. She says, I'd like to have some brass nails. And I said, yes, dear. So then I went back out there and I'm working on this shop. She comes out there and she says, you know, I'd like to have a decorative leather top on that table. I said, this is bird's eye birch. You can't take all these beautiful knots in bird's eye birch. You can't take that covered up with leather. She says, I want a leather top on that table with brass holding that leather down. So I said, okay, I will. So I got my keys and I started ready to go to town. I got the pickup started and I was going to town and driving along there, and I saw a big sign in this window that says, fancy nails, $40. Well, I couldn't resist. I pulled over. I can't believe $40 for 10 nails or 20 nails. In the window was a big fancy sign with some fancy furniture, a young couple, modeling couple, you know, real pretty people. You know how they do, real pretty people. And so I go in there and nobody knows me. I don't know any of these people. They're all from somewhere else and they're wearing white coats. And they said, could they help me? And I said, yes, I'm here for my nails. I'm looking for some decorative nails, brass if you got them. And they weren't from around here. And they ushered me over and set me down. They wanted to wash my feet. And I said, okay, I'm a good sport. I thought it was kind of going a long ways toward marketing, but they wanted to wash my feet before they took me back in the back. And I could smell the rust preventative. I knew I was in the right store. I thought I was. And that girl started washing my feet. That tickles. Washing my feet, scrubbing on my feet, that tickles my feet. And then another lady comes in and they all greeted her by name. Everybody knew her name. And they set her down at this table and started pulling out all these little bottles of fingernail polish, paint. And I said to myself, Buck, there are no nails in this store. Well, then that girl she pulled out a little bottle of paint and she said, going to paint my fingernails. I said, no, you cannot paint my fingernails. She wanted to paint my toenails. And I said, no. And it looked like it hurt her feelings. So I said, oh no. Okay, you could paint my toes. And she did, bright red. Didn't really look that bad. but I did have a little trouble getting my socks off for 2 days. Anyways, I have me some new friends down there at the Gold Star Nails, the 5-Star Nails. And if you never had your fingernails painted or your toenails painted, they call that a pedicure. If you never had that done, well, fellas, let me tell you, it's not that bad, except some of it tickles. There you go.
That was really funny.
Sometimes I get in situations I don't know what I'm doing. I didn't know about fingernails. I'd never been to a nail salon before. You know, they call that a manicure and a pedicure. That's what they call it.
Yes. So that was really wonderful, Buck, talking to you and listening to your this funny real story. So and I feel like, keep on talking on and on with you, but we have a time limitation for this program, so we have to wind up program here. But before leaving, I just want to give some information to our viewers. Friends, watch, share, like, and comment on Don Buck P. Creacy's interview on Spotlight with Abha, episode 43. Do subscribe to YouTube channel for regular updates of Global Storyteller interviews. And don't forget to click the bell icon. You can also listen to the broadcast of this interview on Radio Brain Drain, which is being heard in more than 20 countries. So download Radio Brain Drain application from Google Play Store right now. Once again, my heartfelt gratitude to you, Buck, for being on this show. Thank you so much.
Well, I hope you'll have me back, and next time I'll have a better story for you. I just didn't really know how we were going to do this today. So I want to thank everybody for supporting Sharon Matthews in India. Yes. She's a wonderful storyteller, and keep up the work, Sharon. You're the princess. All right, we'll see you. All right.
So
Bye-bye.
Friends, see you again in next episode of Spotlight with Abha with one more international storyteller soon. Till then, take care, stay safe, maintain the social distancing, leave your home only if it's necessary. See you again in the next episode of Spotlight with Abha. Till then, bye-bye.
Rag doll, of course, she got a little red cape and she got a little red hood. You might guess that this is a little red riding hood, and you'd be right. And she's had to go see her grandma. She went down in the woods. Of course, she's going down through the woods because she wanted to go see her grandma. Grandma was busy in the kitchen. She wanted to have some fun stuff for her. And of course, here the girl comes down through the woods. And when she got to see grandma's house, well, it wasn't grandma at all. Oh no, it was the big bad wolf right there going to try to get her. Of course, she chased her everywhere. Of course, the little girl ran. She just ran all she could run, doing everything. Of course, but the wolf had eaten up her grandma. But grandma was just fine because the woodsman come out of the woods. He said, I know this ain't the time nor place, but Lord, I need to talk. He was in the corner booth in a business suit down to Fava's restaurant. We all tried not to listen, and we all tried not to look, but the whole room full of customers and the waitress and the cook all stopped what we was doing when he bowed his head. And in that silence, we heard every word he said. He said, I've been trying to do things my way down here on life's highway, slipping, sliding sideways between no way and nowhere. If I could only catch a foothold. Up there on your high road, Lord, if you hear me, help me. I'll do anything you tell me to. All I got to offer you is this backslider's prayer. Well, the waitress got things going when she filled his coffee cup. She said, you know you ain't alone here, mister. No, you're speaking for the rest of us. And I heard some scattered amens and a couple of I've been there's. Then things got back to normal. But you know the dishes and the silverware was banging in the kitchen like an angel's band. So I took my place in line to shake his hand. 'Cause I've been trying to do things my way. Down here on life's highway, slipping, sliding sideways between no way and nowhere. If I could only catch a foothold. Up there on your high road, Lord, if you hear me, help me. I'll do anything you tell me to. All I got to offer you is this backslide.